Hello everyone, welcome to this lecture where we will have a rapid review on all the materials for the PHR exam. First, we will discuss business management and HR strategy. To be successful in business management and HR strategies, you as HR professional must understand business environments, market conditions, and internal organizational structure. So some of the key concepts you need to know include SWOT, PESTEL analysis, and STEPPed and environmental scanning concepts. This involves understanding external factors, economic condition, technological advancement, legal, regulatory changes, and internal business functions like functional, divisional, matrix, hybrid structure. The organization may be structured in an LLC or an LLP or corporations form. And keep in mind that external factors are things from outside an organization that directly or indirectly influences it. Oftentimes, these external factors are outside of the control of the organization, but you and HR need to know that so that you can assess the HR strategies and the need for the organization. So that lead me to the key steps to develop HR strategies. First, you need to assess the needs. Then you formulate your strategies, implement it, and evaluate it using HR and business metrics. An example that I can give you is benchmarking industry best practices in compensations, benefits, and talent acquisitions. So you can benchmark the industry and then formulate a strategy to present to leadership. Another thing is to change workplace policies to comply with employment laws change. So that's another example where market condition, the L here, right, the legal piece, will impact how you develop your HR strategies. The second key concept that you need to know for the exam is the important role of cross-functional stakeholders in decision making. Cross-functional collaboration is so key. So in the exam, if you see questions that requires you to make a decision, and HR decisions need to align with business objectives and department-specific needs. Never make a decision without consulting or collaborating with other teams, other departments. And HR must navigate organizational charts, span of control, shared services models, and center of excellence for effective decision-making process. So an example that I can share with you is HR collaborate with IT on building HR tech automation to reduce administrative burdens. And to do that, you need to collaborate with IT, you need to collaborate with legal to ensure that the technology is aligned with compliance. So that's the second key concept you need to know. The third one is the role of change and risk management. So HR must anticipate and mitigate workplace risk and changes, and risk related to compliance, employee relations, AI, automations, organizational changes. And there's risk like an internal risk, leadership gaps, employee conflicts, data security issues, or external risk like market shifts, labor law changes, or competitive threats. And so HR risk mitigation planning can involve things like developing safety protocols, employee handbook updates, or developing a training initiative to address workplace risk. So these are the things that you may see in the exam. They may give you a scenario like your company sees an increase in workplace harassment complaints. What would you do? So usually the first thing you always want to do is to really understand the root cause of it, why there's complaint, and then you can conduct complies an audit, or strengthens the policy, or implement harassment prevention training. So all of that is risk management, and it's including planning, assessing the need, planning, right, formulating the strategies, implementing the strategies, and then evaluating the effectiveness of your strategies. The second concept here is change management, and major changes in the organization includes mergers and acquisition, divestiture, and layoffs. And so you will see scenario questions in the exam, or questions around the definition of M&A, or laws related to layoff, like the Warren Act. And keep in mind that the HR roles in change management is to be the leader, the educator, advisor, and demonstrator. And what I mean by that is that as a leader in HR, you help support and lead change efforts with management. You educate and coach managers to implement and drive changes on the team. You would advise management to create transparency and building the bridge between management and employees. And as demonstrator, you design methods to reinforce the change, model the mindset of the change, and encourage leadership to do the same. So that's a quick overview of change and risk management. The third key concept that you need to know is metrics and data for HR strategies. And this involves the evaluation piece of your HR strategies. So you need to understand metrics and interpret data to support your business HR initiative and recommend the right strategies for your organization. And some of the key concepts you need to know, like attrition rates, diversity in hiring, time to hire, time to fill, ROI, return on investment. How do you measure success of training? And all of these are really important to help promote continuous improvement using data or strategies that back by data. An example that I can share with you, I may see questions related to training and development, and they would ask you, how would HR assess how leadership programs influence retention and promotion rates? So you might need to choose an answer that related to metrics in terms of promotion rates and succession, or metrics relating to retention rates. So that is metrics and data for HR strategies. And the last key concept that I want to share with you in this session is the HR role to reinforce organizational culture, core value, and DEI. So a strong workplace culture foster employees' satisfaction, ethical behavior, and brand identity. And so your role in HR is to promote DEI strategies to ensure that the organization has fair policies and fostering inclusion. Some of the application that you will see in HR strategies including diversity hiring and retention, employer branding to promote company values, ethical and behavior standards that align with the company training and policies. So that's a quick summary of HR strategies in action. As a final takeaways for this one, I would say that keep in mind that you always want to interpret metrics, right? Assessing the need, identifying the root cause, formulate the strategies by collaborating with stakeholders, looking ahead to plan for risk, mitigating risk using HR strategies and approaches, and then be a change agent to lead, manage, and influence changes within the organization. And then finally, reinforcing the organizational culture, core value, and DEI. So if there's any question related to organizational values, ethics, and compliance, do you want to use just common sense. Make sure that it's the right decision to protect the company's brand value, to align with diversity, inclusion, and equity. In this next session, we will move to workforce planning and talent acquisition. The first and most important things you need to know is the U.S. federal laws and organizational policy, because as HR professional, you need to ensure that hiring practices comply with federal laws and organizational policy to maintain legal and ethical standards. So Title VII compliance is important to ensure hiring decisions do not discriminate based on race, gender, religions, national origins, or disability. So this is the foundational law. If you encounter questions where the hiring decisions violate any of these protected classes, you need to stop that right away. Secondly, nepotism and ethical hiring. So company need to establish policies that prevent favoritism in hiring decision while maintaining transparency. So if you see questions around nepotism, the first thing is to look at the company's policy and then make sure that the decision is transparent. Make sure that you consult the hiring managers to not hire based on nepotism, but hire based on qualifications. Next is disparate impact analysis. So using data-driven hiring metrics to ensure the selection process do not unintentionally disadvantage protected groups. And protected groups are these groups. And last but not least, FLSA and independent contractor classification. So when you hire for a position, it is important to properly distinguish between employees, so W-2 employees, versus the 1099 independent contractors to comply with wage and labor law. So these are the key things you need to know in terms of U.S. federal laws and organizational policy. Second, we'll discuss how to identify and implement talent sourcing methods. So there are a few key talent sourcing methods that you need to know. In addition, when you source for talent, DEI is very important as well. And so the first thing and most common things that we see when we implement hiring strategies, employees referral. So encouraging internal recommendation to improve hiring quality. That's one of the approach. Social media and digital recruiting is pretty common nowadays, leveraging LinkedIn, job boards, and AI-driven recruitment tools to expand the company's talent reach. And then DEI hiring metrics is important for company to track diversity representation and hiring pipeline to ensure inclusive recruitment practices, and especially if the companies or organization is a federal contractor, they have an affirmative action in play. DEI hiring metrics is very important to those organizations, so they need to track them. And then college recruitment and job fairs would be applicable for jobs that require early in career talent, that is for college recruitment. And for high volumes roles, job fairs can be useful, for example, if you need to hire for truckers. And remote and hybrid work solutions can also be leveraged for smaller size companies, startup companies to adjust hiring strategies to accommodate flexible work arrangements and attract a lot of talent if they have a harder time to find talent in their local market. And last but not least, managing talent acquisition lifecycle. This is the fundamentals of talent acquisition, right? So HR oversees the entire hiring process, ensuring a structured, compliance, and efficient talent acquisition from interviews to onboarding. So you have the first step is to identify needs, which is talent planning. What type of talent your organization will need? And then you move through job posting, sourcings, right? And then assessment, that means recruiter screening, interviews can be virtual interview, in-person interview, structured interview, groups interview, and then extending the offers that including pay, working conditions, and benefits. When you think about Extending the offers, you have to think about FLSA. Is it an independent contractor, 1099 employees, or is it going to be a W-2 employees? And then the pre-hiring condition, including background checks, drug screen, reference check, and for some position that will require a credit check as well because they are financial roles. And last but not least, onboarding, which is the process of integrating a new employee into the organization. So HR will manage this entire talent acquisition life cycle. So this is a very brief summary of key concepts around workforce planning and talent acquisition. In summary, I would say that HR professional would use high quality, valid, cost-effective methods to source, evaluate candidates, identify the best talent that will meet the organization's requirement, and then facilitate the strategies in a plan to achieve the talent needs for the organization. Next, we will discuss learning and development key concepts. The first key concept of learning and development is career development and training programs. So HR professionals design and assess career development programs to enhance employee skills, leadership potential, and long-term growth. And this includes mentorship, coaching, management training, and structure learning plan. So you can see here some of these key concepts is career pathing. That means mapping out progressions, opportunities for employees based on their skills, experience, and organizational needs. And this is not individual employees. This is more of a groups of employees. It can be a groups of employees in one type of position. So for example, retail associates employees is all in one groups. And then management training is leveraged to develop the next leaders for the organization, employees who have the potential to take on higher and bigger responsibility. And mentorship and coaching, that means pairing employees with experienced mentors to accelerate their skill development. And then learning and development plan is very important for the organization. So you need to create structured training roadmaps. And very importantly, that need to align with business goals because you don't just build a roadmaps. You build the roadmaps to meet the organizational skills need. And to build training, you will need an ADDIE model. An ADDIE model is the framework for instructional design that outlines the 5 key phases. Analysis, what is the need? Design, how can we design the program? What type of approach are we going to take? Development, how do we develop the training program to ensure that is aligned with the learner needs, right? So what type of materials do they need? Is it going to be a presentation on online modules? And then implementation, that is the moment when you're going to put the training into practice and deliver it to the target audience. And then evaluation, this is the final phase that involves assessing the effectiveness of the training program. You will need to gather feedback from learners and make sure to adjust for improvements in the future. So that is a quick summary of career development and training programs. The second thing in L&D is succession planning. Succession planning, you will need to leverage data such as turnover and exit interview to assess why employees leaving and adjust the retention and succession strategies. And the importance of the turnover rate and attrition rates in an organization is that you are losing skills. So you need to assess what type of skills that you are losing so that you can, looking at the current skill inventory that the organization have and determine succession readiness, skill gap, so that you can develop the program to provide the right trainings for the employees to prepare future leaders, future employees. Succession planning can be conducted through leadership development as well. So you can develop a network of mentors and coaches to help employees to be ready in getting the skill set and experience they need for the next role. And then the key concept of management by objectives means that you need to align individuals' goals and objective with the organization's goal. So that is a quick summary of succession planning. And lastly, administer learning and development program. As HR professionals, you will need to manage L&D program, and this is what HRCI expected you to answer in the exam. Is how do you manage an L&D program? How do you execute the program? So it's example of L&D programs including compliance training. That means that you will need to ensure employees understand legal requirements like what is the equal employment opportunity compliance, workplace safety, OSHA compliance, and ethical policies. So compliance training can be a part of the L&D programs. DEI program, diversity, equity, and inclusion, can be a part of your learning and development programs. HR system and security training to educate employees on data protection, HR technology that you use, and cybersecurity. We also have the fundamental of HR training, like benefits education, providing training on compensation structures, wellness programs, benefits and employees' perks. And you have supervisory training on topics like performance management to make sure that they know how to manage their employees' performance, progressive disciplinary training, performance appraisals training, workplace safety, interviewing techniques, and onboarding new employees. These are the key trainings that will fall under the organization's L&D program. So in summary, I would say that learning and development will consist of three key things. It will consist of career development and training program to ensure that employees have all the skills that they need to meet the organization's needs. And then succession planning to make sure that you have the right people in place in the event if the role's open. So it's kind of tied with workforce planning, but it's coming from a skills gap perspective. And then learning and development program as a whole. How would you administer these programs? What are some of the example of trainings that under the organization L&D program? And how you would administer it is to, again, identifying the needs, right? So somewhat similar to the ADDIE model. You identify the needs, you design the program, you develop the program with more details, you implement it out, and you evaluate the effectiveness of your training program. So that's how you would administer the L&D program. It can be a collection of all the training together that fall under HR. So there you have it, a quick summary of learning and development.